The story centers around three school bullies, led by the aggressive and arrogant Miles, who find pleasure in tormenting classmates they consider weaker. Their favorite target is Jimmy Mulligan, a quiet, chubby boy who bears their cruelty without ever fighting back. Jimmy's only comfort comes from his two close friends, Andy and Bobby, who, like him, are social outcasts. Andy is fiercely loyal, while Bobby, more sensitive, often bears the brunt of Miles's taunts. One day, while walking to school, the trio encounters Miles and his gang. Miles demands $100 from Jimmy, threatening violence if he doesn't comply. When Jimmy explains he doesn't have the money, Miles grows enraged. But before things escalate, Vinny, a tough local figure, appears, and the bullies retreat. Miles's cruelty isn't limited to Jimmy. He frequently mocks Bobby in front of their peers. One particularly hurtful moment leaves Bobby on the verge of tears, but Jimmy steps in to console him, reminding his friend that they should ignore Miles. At lunch, Jimmy treats his friends to a large meal, and they never make fun of him for eating so much. Meanwhile, Andy and Bobby notice Adrienne, a shy girl who often watches Jimmy from a distance, and encourage him to speak with her. Before Jimmy can gather the courage, Miles interrupts their lunch again, demanding his $100. However, a brave student steps up and tells Miles to leave Jimmy alone. Miles retaliates, but another stronger student intervenes, forcing Miles to back off. After school, Miles ambushes Jimmy, demanding the money again. This time, Jimmy stands his ground, and Miles responds with a brutal beating. As things get worse, an elderly man intervenes, threatening to call the police and sending Miles away. The man, Mr. Action, takes Jimmy home to tend to his injuries. There, Jimmy notices a framed photo of Mr. Action in a boxing pose. Mr. Action reveals he was once a national boxing champion and that he started boxing around Jimmy's age. Inspired, Jimmy begs Mr. Action to teach him boxing so he can defend himself. When Jimmy returns home, his parents are shocked by his black eye. Mr. Action suggests self-defense lessons, and after some hesitation, Jimmy's parents agree. A few days later, Jimmy shows up at Mr. Action's doorstep with both eyes bruised, and his parents finally give in, agreeing he should train. Mr. Action takes him to Manny's boxing gym, a gritty place run by an old friend who is tough but fair. Manny agrees to train Jimmy, but only if he's fully committed. As training intensifies, Jimmy's progress is slow and grueling. During one session, his performance is off, and Manny suspects that it's not just exhaustion. He's worried about deeper struggles Jimmy is facing. Mr. Action, concerned, encourages Jimmy to keep pushing through, and eventually, Jimmy opens up about his fears of never being able to stand up to Miles. Mr. Action reminds him that the lessons he's learning will serve him for life, regardless of the outcome. At home, Jimmy's father encourages him to keep going, reminding him that one day he could teach his children the same skills, ensuring they wouldn't have to endure the same struggles. Inspired by this, Jimmy gains a new sense of determination and decides to keep fighting. One day, after a particularly hard training session, Jimmy confidently tells his friends about his plans to confront Miles. Adrienne, overhearing the conversation, approaches him, and the two connect, sparking a budding romance. At a party, Miles's ally, Eddie, taunts Jimmy and Adrienne, but Jimmy stands up to him, forcing him to back off. The day of the showdown arrives. Jimmy is calm and ready. At school, Miles threatens Jimmy again, but Jimmy remains unshaken. In the bathroom, Vinny, who had previously scared off Miles, offers words of encouragement, further boosting Jimmy's confidence. Meanwhile, Eddie informs Miles that Jimmy is training and preparing for a fight, so Miles hires Glassjaw Billy, a notorious fighter, to challenge Jimmy. As news of the upcoming fight spreads, excitement builds. When the day finally comes, Jimmy faces Miles and his gang. Miles reveals his secret weapon, Glassjaw Billy, but Vinny, anticipating the move, intercepts Billy before he can arrive. Without his backup, Miles has no choice but to fight Jimmy himself. The battle begins with Miles aggressively attacking, but Jimmy, fueled by months of training, counters every blow with surprising skill and resilience. Though Miles lands a brutal punch, Jimmy stays on his feet, determined to fight back. The tide begins to turn as Jimmy's confidence and strength shine through, and his friends, Andy and Bobby, step in to help. Together, they overpower the bullies, leaving them defeated. With the fight over, Jimmy faces Miles and declares that the bullying will stop, once and for all. Miles, humiliated, retreats. Watching from a distance, Mr. Action is filled with pride. Jimmy's journey has transformed him, not only in strength, but in character. The fight becomes the talk of the school, and Jimmy's courage goes viral, inspiring others to stand up for themselves. His parents, once worried for his safety, now admire his strength. At school, Jimmy, Andy, Bobby, and Adrienne walk with newfound confidence. The bullying that once plagued the school fades, and Jimmy becomes a quiet leader, admired by his peers. The story ends with a powerful message. True strength comes from heart, determination, and the courage to fight for what's right. Jimmy's journey shows that even the most unlikely heroes can rise to the occasion and inspire others. Thanks for watching, guys. Kindly subscribe to Movie Matrix for more movie recaps, also like and share. See you in the next movie.